love strategy. I love those moments between moments that happen in the workplace. And that tends to get lost in chatterboxes on Zoom, right? We tend not to have that. So I felt all of that deep sadness and grief and even loneliness. So from a professional lens, I had to learn to lead through and make decisions. But where I landed for sort of a compass that I think helped me personally is sort of embracing that being the case, how shall I proceed? And that, I swear, I just need to get that, tattooed now, because that is, for my life, so poignant. So we can't always control this water that we're swimming in, this storm. And that's what 2020 felt like, and some of 2021. But really always kind of trying to take a step back, take a deep breath and say, but what can I do about it, right? I can get over it. In some cases we can't. I can't just get over a pandemic. I can remove myself from the thing. Maybe it's a difficult situation, a difficult relationship, a difficult colleague, or I can create a solution. And what are those solutions? So for me personally, I started to really think about when do I feel the most, Beth? When do I feel the happiest? And what can I do to be proactive about those things? And that's where joining a gym. I would never have done that if it hadn't been for all of that grief and loneliness and that sort of suffocating feeling I was having in life. And really taking a step back and say, what can I do to control this? Maybe I can't get over it. Maybe I can't remove myself from these difficult things, but how can I lean into some of what makes me happy? And I just crossed the door of a gym where I didn't know anyone and I didn't really even know what the program was about. And now it's an integral part of my life, and the people there are.
Oh my gosh, they're family.
They really are. They really are. Just yesterday, we had a big snow event, and people from the gym reached out and said, we want to make sure that you're taken care of, and can we come help remove the snow, right? Like, it really does feel like family. And in so many ways, they've stepped up, from the owners, Nick and Denise, to the many other amazing people that I've gotten to meet there, to just go out of their way to do things that make me feel seen. And that's probably one of the biggest gifts we can ever receive as humans, is to feel authentically seen. And they do it so well, and they do it all the time.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Conversational Lounge. Welcome to the show.
Wonderful. And my name is Beth Shelton, and I'm the CEO of Girl Scouts of Greater Iowa.
And I realized that you also do speeches and you do all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know Beth. I need to know her. So you have no idea. Like, I am the one who's just very excited that I got a chance to even sit next to you today.
Oh my goodness. Well, likewise. And I do think the universe had a way of just putting us together. Yeah.
So for those people who haven't had a chance to bump into Beth, who is Beth?
Yeah, sure. Well, that's a big question. As for a living, my title, I'm the CEO of Girl Scouts of Greater Iowa, and I've been doing this job for just over 5 years. And it is a part of who I am as a person now. So, being a leader and a Girl Scout troop leader now, a CEO, it has shaped so much of my life in the past 5 years. And then even more so in the past 2 years, trying to lead through a pandemic. I feel like whoever Beth was 2 years ago is sort of gone, right? And probably true for so many of us. I'm a different person today, in part from what we've all lived through, in part from the pandemic and trying to lead through that, but also the many silver linings that have come from that, like joining an amazing kickboxing program at Farrell's, and the way that's changed my life, not just physically, which is wonderful, but all of the amazing people that I've met along the way, and people that understand resilience and grit, and that's sort of my love language, talking about that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how it was leading through the pandemic.
It was hard. Yeah, it was hard. And it's not done being hard. I remember, if we rewind all the way back to sort of March of 2020, talking to my team and saying, we're in this together, and making assurances that we wouldn't be changing staff sizes and things. And of course, we had no way to have the foresight of how long this would last and how difficult it would be. I really felt supported and felt like I had the strength of my entire team. But what I just didn't realize is that we would all start to experience such decision fatigue and even empathy burnout, things that I didn't have words for before the pandemic. But trying to make decisions to keep people safe, ensure people have jobs, those are big, heavy decisions that you wear with you, when you go home at night.
It was tough.
I don't like to sugarcoat it. It was really, really tough as a leader, and it was tough on me personally. Like so many other people, my cup of resilience just started to get empty. And I think it's because there were so many irons in the fire. And it had personal implications for people. I'm a mother of 3. You know, the school sent the kids home for spring break in 2020, and then they wouldn't take them back, you know, right? So now I'm trying to lead through a pandemic, lead through a true crisis in an organization, and then be a parent to 3 kids who are now at home and need guidance and need to get online. And we're all fighting over the bandwidth of the internet and, you know, things that it was really out of my core competency to try to juggle all of these things at once. So I had all these professional challenges like so many did. And then like so many others, I had personal challenges, and it all came together in a perfect storm. So it wasn't that I just want to be careful to not sugarcoat it for people, because I legitimately felt like I was falling apart for much of 2020. And I think when we acknowledge the human experience in the midst of really hard things, even leaders, even people who by all appearances look strong and have things together, can really be falling apart. And I think that's much of the boat I was in at that time.
I like the realness.
Yeah.
A lot of people suffered through it, and they're still going through the repercussions from the pandemic. And just to even share a little bit of that on, you know, just juggling everything. I didn't even realize 3 kids.
Yes.
And then being a CEO of an organization. And so what kept you through it?
I think that for several months, I struggled like everyone else. I felt like I was suffocating. You know, at first I was treading water, and then I started to feel like I was drowning. And that's a really hard feeling in life. I felt like I was drowning at work, and I felt like I was drowning at home. And I just didn't have that outlet. And so many of the things I used to love, I had lost in the pandemic, like so many others. From a professional lens, I had to learn to lead through and make decisions. Look at the very best case scenario in the midst of impossible equations and make decisions, whether it was everything from mask wearing to telecommuting policies to should we have summer camp? Should we bring kids together? How do we do it safely? Really, really big questions. But where I landed for sort of a compass that I think helped me personally is sort of embracing this, that being the case, how shall I proceed? And that, I swear, I just need to get that, you know, tattooed now, because that is, for my life, so poignant. So we can't always control this water that we're swimming in, this storm. And that's what 2020 felt like, and some of 2021. But really always kind of trying to take a step back, take a deep breath and say, but what can I do about it, right? I can get over it. In some cases we can't. I can't just get over a pandemic. I can remove myself from the thing. Maybe it's a difficult situation, a difficult relationship, a difficult colleague, or I can create a solution. And what are those solutions? So for me personally, I started to really think about when do I feel the most, Beth? When do I feel the happiest? And what can I do to be proactive about those things? And that's where joining a gym. I would never have done that if it hadn't been for all of that grief and loneliness and that sort of suffocating feeling I was having in life, and really taking a step back and say, what can I do to control this? Maybe I can't get over it. Maybe I can't remove myself from these difficult things, but how can I lean into some of what makes me happy? And I just crossed the door of a gym where I didn't know anyone, and I didn't really even know what the program was about. And now it's an integral part of my life, and the people there are.
Wow, that is powerful. And then so tell me a little bit about Girl Scouts.
Yeah. Well, Girl Scouts has been around for more than 100 years, and it's truly an amazing program. I like to think of it, you know, we move at the speed of girls. So sometimes what people think about Girl Scouts is from their experience as a child, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And it's so different now because it's continually evolving. What I love and what we continue to see is such a need today in youth, in all youth, but is really that robust social and emotional connection. We know data is really clear. Kids are suffering right now. They're suffering from an all-time high of depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. And what the cure is difficult. There's a lot of reasons contributing to that, but we know that a tourniquet for that is social and emotional connection in a way that kids aren't always getting at school or other places. But groups like Girl Scouts, where they're safe, where they're seen, where they get to build that grit and resilience. So for instance, you know, we have camps, big camp properties, and there's things like zip lining at our camps. Well, you know, we'll have girls, and myself included, having done this program, to go up to the big zip line. You climb 40 feet in the air and you're in a harness and you have to do this obstacle course, and then you zip line down. And so many of them are in tears when they start. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've done the zip line there, the obstacle course. And the first thing I did when I got to the first pole is say, I can't do it. And I was in tears, and I think I'm a pretty resilient person. And I kind of got white knuckled and panicked. And I thought, I can't do this. This is too hard. I'm 40 feet in the air. This is really scary. I can't do these obstacles. But people on the ground started cheering for me, and you've got this, and you've got this. And it took forever. It took me like 40 minutes. I mean, these young girls that are good at it takes them like 10 minutes, right? It took me like 40 minutes. I was trembling from every obstacle. And then by the time I got to the end and got to the zip line and got down, I was smiling from ear to ear. And I see girls do that over and over and over. They go from tears to so proud and smiling. And what we just saw is a real world example of building resilience. And it's the same muscle they're going to use as they get older, as they have difficulties in relationships, as they navigate through a pandemic, as they negotiate for a fair salary. It's the same muscle. We're just showing it to them in a really practical way, just pushing them a little bit past where you think you can go. And it's things like that that make the program so impactful.
Wow. Yeah. And then what are the ages?
Yeah, we start serving girls in kindergarten, and they can go all the way up through their senior year of high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and there's no prerequisite. They can start at any age. They can end at any age. There's just such a variety of activities. We have more than 100 badges available, everything from outdoors to entrepreneurship to STEM, a lot of STEM badges in coding and cybersecurity, and there's life skills. It's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Hence your number plate.
Yeah.
Girl
Right.
power.
Exactly. Yeah.
That you're really building the skills on these kids at a very young age that they will use for the rest of their lives. And then you're also building networks and connections within them.
Absolutely. Our core focus is to build girls of courage, confidence, and character. And when you think about those three attributes, how far they can take you in life. And we also know the data is really clear that confidence peaks for girls at age 11. Then it tanks, and they don't recover that level of confidence on average until age 42. Well, that's a big problem, right? You can talk to almost any female, and they're like, yep, that sounds about right? And let's do something about it. Let's give them the tools. Let's give them the engagement. Let's give them a girl-only space. No one's speaking over them. No one's telling them how to look, what to do, what to say, no judgment, just to be and build who they authentically are. That's where the magic happens. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
And I'll even speak for a little bit of my personal experience. Yeah. I feel like I am more empowered when I'm around other women, because I've realized when women surround themselves with other women, you don't feel scared or held back to show your strong self.
Right.
But then when you're around maybe men, and maybe you have cultural background that it's like, okay, so you need to respect the man or whatever. So you temper yourself down a little bit. But then if you're around a circle of women that are like, hey, you can be who you are. Right. And then when you take that person into a circle of men, it's just, hey, this is who I am. Because men do that very well. It's just they're very comfortable in their own space. And I think that is a good thing too, but it's also good to breathe that in the women.
Exactly. We can really start to wear that story that we're told about how we should be, or what a girl ought to be. And I think it's really important to have powerful spaces and powerful voices saying, no, let's challenge that. Let's make sure that what you're told you can be is part of your own path. You get to decide, and it's not because someone else, regardless of gender or age, or, it's not because they said you should, it's because you get to shine in who you really are. And that's so amazing. It's such a gift to get to experience that. And I tend to find it with other really strong females as well. The greatest gift in my life is having strong female connections, it just feels like it's unconditional, it's judgment free, and it's just truly everyone rooting for one another. Yeah.
Wow. And then so behind every woman, there's a story that made them who they are.
Yeah.
So what's that story for you? What made you the Beth that we see today?
Yeah, I think a lot of beautiful moments and a lot of hard moments, like a lot of people. Having been born with one hand, I think that definitely shaped part of my ambition and resilience. I think it can go several different ways when you're given a hardship at a young age. And when you have strong supporting people or factors, that can really help you come out on the shining end of that. And I had my mom, a single mom who's just powerful and strong and loving unconditionally. She helped give me wings to know what I could accomplish. And I had great coaches along the way. I just came out loving physical activity, loving athletics. And so having really great coaches all the way from my very first T-ball coach who were like, it reminds me so much of someone like Nick at Farrell's, who was just like, you've got this, we're going to get you the equipment you need, and you're going to shine. So I think having maybe a little bit of something to prove in life served me well. And that doesn't mean it serves everyone well, but feeling like I was going to own my own destiny, somehow I got, and maybe it's genetic and maybe it's because of those support factors, but I came out, ready to roll, ready to say, okay, you're not going to hold me back. You're not going to tell me what I can't do. By God, I'm going to show you. And that has really been a key part of my life all the way through high school athletics, through college athletics, and then into the workplace. I always just wanted to be my best, not better than everyone else, but I wanted to be my best. And I always try to find ways to push through and do that. Maybe it's on the mat on with a punching bag, and maybe it's in a boardroom as a CEO, but that just seems to be a little bit part of who I am.
Wow. Just taking that and having that mental discipline to just, I'm going to use this and I'm going to prove myself right. I'm going to, I'm going to go power through.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Well, and again, I can't overlook how many people have helped me along the way. And I would say I absolutely aim to be a servant leader. That's a big goal of mine. And I think most people would say that I'm pretty authentic and that I do really try to hold up and serve my team and the people in my life. I try to love them genuinely. I'm just naturally a bit empathetic. So I think that shapes a lot of who I am today as well, particularly as the leader of an organization. I mean, let's face it, I didn't know what I was doing when I took this job. I mean, I don't know how you could, right? But at the end of the day, and still today, there are days where I don't know the answer. I don't know what to do. There's no right answer. Every option looks bad. And I go back to that, okay, how do we do the best thing for the people? How do we do right by the people? And typically, if I can stick to that compass, everything else has a way of working out. And so those learnings, and I've learned some of that the hard way by making mistakes. I've learned it by being surrounded by people that are great and loving, and by being surrounded by people at times who were not great and loving, people that taught me lessons the hard way. I can be a little stubborn, right? And so learning a lesson the hard way, maybe it's a manager that was tough on me. Maybe it was a relationship that was difficult to get through. Some of those, and maybe it sounds like a bumper sticker, but it's either a blessing or it's a lesson. And you just have to lean into those things that are lessons, Yeah.
Absolutely. They say there's no bad choices, only experiences. Right? Or how is it saying?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Exactly. So, but you have to be willing to have the self-awareness and the humility to say, okay, well, that being the case, this was either a poor decision on my part or not the outcome I wanted, but what can I learn from? How can I do it differently? What can I carry with me that might make me stronger next time? I think the more that we can be open-minded, curious, if we can get our egos out of the way, pure magic can happen in life. It can build stronger relationships. It can make us better leaders, and it can make us more self-aware and make us stronger. But that can be a hard thing to do. Yeah.
So tell me more about this servant leadership.
Yeah. I don't know if I even knew what that meant. To me, it sounded aspirational when I first started leading people. It's a term that's thrown around in books, and I'm like, I don't know, but I think that's what I want to be, right? I don't want to be a dictator, so I'm going to be a servant leader, right? But what I found is in practice, it takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of getting out of my own way, getting out of the way of other people. To me, a really great servant leader is someone who can do their best to contribute to the well-being of the team and not let their own agenda or their own ego get in the way of that. And so when I can hire the very best people, empower them, support them, coach them, love them, and get out of their way, to me, that is great servant leadership. That doesn't mean I do it all well every single day, but that's the ultimate goal. Truly, maybe my team's not surprised to hear me say I'm a little cheesy, but I try to love people, right? I try to really help them be their best. I try to be my best because we're all doing our best every day. And then I know that I also get the grace from them on those days where I'm not my best. They give me a lot of patience. which is really important because there's no way I could be my best every day, particularly when you think about situations like the past 2 years. I don't think there could be a leader who was at their best every single day. I certainly wasn't. And yet here we are thriving as an organization with a really strong team, and it's because we had a really strong foundation of trust and love with each other, and it really can move mountains.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do. I'm loving the servant leadership already.
Yeah.
Like if only more leaders would start thinking of leadership in that terms, you're serving others, you're being there for them to, I don't know, as a guiding.
Right.
I think the world would be a better place.
I think so too. And I'm passionate about it, and I speak a lot about it. And honestly, there's really great data around it. And the business case is solid. When you are good to people, you do have and create a healthier organization. But I think there's a lot of complex reasons. Sometimes about, resources constraints. Maybe they feel like they can't afford to make a certain decision. I think a lot of the complexities come down to the human beings involved. It can be really a real challenge with our own awareness to be a servant leader, because you do have to get out of your own way frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that maybe we haven't touched on, we haven't talked about, but you'd like to, maybe touch on?
Yeah. I always think, gosh, if I were to write a book someday, like what would it be? And I think it would be lessons I learned the really hard way, or things that I thought were true that definitely are not. And so I think some of those, so for instance, self-care. Self-care is a topic that you could Google and read about all day long. And we kind of get this notion that it's like, oh, just take a bath or something. And maybe for someone that is enough self-care. I think if I could rewind the clock 2.5 years, what I now realize is I did not have an infrastructure in place in my life for self-care. I didn't know what it meant, and I was just going with the current. I was going with the flow of work, busy, do the kid stuff, work, busy, do the kid stuff. And I didn't realize that once there was a crack in the foundation and the whole world came tumbling down with the pandemic, that how much it would affect me because I didn't have good tools in place. So now, what I now know is it's really important to be proactive and ahead of that, and not wait and not lean on things that are unhealthy. There are so many things that are not healthy that we can sort of feel like a salve when we're feeling burned in life. And maybe it's some form of substance abuse. Maybe it's junk food. Maybe it's just sleeping all day, which maybe for some people that is self-care. Mm-hmm. But really getting intentional about what it is that makes me feel my best mentally and physically, and great mental health and a great support system. So now I'm in such a different place. I have a better understanding about how to take care of my physical body, which then affects my mental health, and a great support system, really close friends and people that I can connect with, that I can talk with, and ultimately that I can be my most authentic self around. And I don't think I had as much of that 3 years ago. And if you can't be your most authentic self, I feel like you're sort of wearing a heaviness at all times, trying to live up to the expectations of what you think other people need and want from you, instead of being able to just take a big breath and be. So for me, that is such a lesson. If there's any gift of wisdom I could give to my own children, to other people, it's that just let some of that go. Let it all go. Mm-hmm. And we can get really stuck on thinking success is being likable or having the most friends or having the most of this or having the biggest muscles. And it's just not true at all. At all. There's no part of it that's true, mm-hmm. Today, how I define success and failure, I'll finish with that, is there were so many times in my life where I chased the big shiny thing. And it might be the big job, it might be the big award, it might be being the MVP on a sports team. And ultimately, that's not inherently bad, but it's not the stuff that actually fills your bucket for real, mm-hmm. The authentic stuff. The best way to have and get self-esteem is to do esteemable things. No one can give it to you. No one can hand it to you. No trophy will make you feel it. And I wish I would have known that 20 years ago, because you can chase and chase and chase and think that if I just look a certain way, sound a certain way, do a certain thing, that I will have self-esteem finally. And the truth is, you just wake up the next morning and you're still the same person, And so for me, success is, I'm ambitious. I make big goals. Sometimes they're fitness goals, sometimes they're work goals. but I don't let the outcome of that ever define if I'm successful.
Wow.
So what I say is, if I maximize my personal learning and growth on that path, it's a success. So let's use an easy example, because a lot of people talk about weight loss, want to lose weight, right? So let's just say, this is arbitrary. Let's just say someone says, I want to lose 20 pounds by May 1st. And they get to May 1st, let's say they've lost 18 pounds. And they met new friends and they got stronger and they feel better. I mean, that could be nothing but a success. So it's a raging success. But we get so tied to this outcome, this married to the arbitrary thing, the number, the trophy, the size, the number on the scale. And that stuff just doesn't matter. Did you maximize your personal learning and growth along the way? Yes or no, right? If yes, then boom, it's a success. For me, a failure, so then people say, well, then what's a failure then? It's when I lose my sense of self, period. That's the only time I'm failing. If I lose who I am, if I start to act in a way that's not true to who I am, trying to achieve something or trying to get to try to manipulate an outcome, I start to act a different way, that's the only time I fail. And if I could have that little barometer, when I was young and have that understanding of success and failure, I think that I would have lived many, many more days that were much more fulfilled. And it's a gift today that I get to have that. What I know right now is that I know far less about the world than I thought I knew, but I know far more about myself than I used to know. And that's a pretty incredible gift.
Wow. So if someone's watching and they're truly inspired by your journey and just anything that you've shared today, what would you tell such a person?
Yeah. I would say that you're in control of your destiny. And that doesn't mean like a bumper sticker that you get to have the outcome you want, that you get to be married to the outcome. And that doesn't mean you get to be a CEO or that you get to make a certain amount of money or that you get to lose a certain amount of weight. But what it does mean is you get to be in charge of if you maximize your learning and growth on your own path. And that's what success is. So you do, in fact, get to be in charge of that. And it's a beautiful, freeing gift to acknowledge that and say, oh my gosh, I get to pick what to do next. And I get to pick what, direction I want to go. And I get to pick if I choose to learn on that path. No one else can decide those things for you. Wow. Yeah.
That's powerful. You've heard it straight from the horse's mouth. I am inspired by you. I truly am. I know you haven't told anyone that you give speeches around the world. So that's just another thing, just an additional to, the layers of who Beth is. You're a mom, you're a professional woman, but then also outside of working out, you also are out here motivating and inspiring people.
Thank you. It's been a gift and a privilege. I stumbled into public speaking, truly, and one thing led to another, and before you know it, I have had the great privilege of getting to travel around the world, see beautiful locations, and get to share a message of hope in some way. I like to talk about inclusivity. I like to talk about physical disability. I like to talk about really creating workplaces that bring out the very best in human beings. I like to talk about gender equality, and I just like to talk about grit and resilience and how to be our best. And in some way or another, I'm talking about one of those topics from different stages all around the world. And it's really bucket filling that I get to do it.
Wow. Yeah. So if someone would like to come, at least be a part of the audience in one of the speeches that you're giving, how would they know where or the next event that you're going to be at? Yeah, I have a website. It's just BethShelton.com. That's where people can go to get information about speaking. I donate 100% of the proceeds of any speaking event right back to Girl Scouts to serve our mission outreach girls and their program. So I truly do it because I love it. And I think it can make a difference to share a message of positivity. So I'm also on LinkedIn and on Twitter and on Facebook. If you search Beth Shelton, you will find me. Nice. Yeah. I cannot wait to come to one of your presentations. Thank you. I know I will be inspired. I've been inspired the whole time I'm sitting here, but I know I cannot wait to that environment. Yeah. Thank you so much. And as a parting shot, is there anything else you'd like to let your audience know? Anything that's coming down the pike? Yeah, we do so much great work at Girl Scouts. Coming up very next is Girl Scout cookie season on February 1st. So we're excited. We have a brand new cookie this year people are going to love. It's called the Adventureful. But in sort of the vein here of inspiring women, as you are incredibly,
We do have our signature event. It's coming up May 6th, and it's called Inspiring Women of Iowa. We honor women from all across the state who are doing incredible things. It's a fast-paced program. People come. Last year, we had a record number of people, almost 700 people in person to celebrate women doing great things. So it's May 6th. It's downtown at the Community Choice Convention Center, inspiringwomenofiowa.com. Easy to remember. But you can come, and you don't have to know anyone. It's just a luncheon. You can buy one ticket, come and support, and you will leave inspired. You will see things that women are doing to really make the world a better place. And we also have awards called Inspiring Advocates for Women. We know there are a lot of ways that women can be advanced in the world, and part of it is by strong advocates. Advocates can be men or women, but we have a way of acknowledging people that are doing great things on behalf of women as well. So inspiringwomenofiowa.com.
Wow. Will you be speaking?
I will.
Okay, perfect. Then okay, and what time?
Oh, I think it's noon to 1. I think we start seating. Yeah.
This day event. Some of us have day jobs.
I know. But we keep it on the hour so people can get out. They can take a lunch break and they can get right out.
So it can be a lunch break.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, we can try to
squeeze
that in.
We have a firm stop time at 1. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for joining our show today. I know a lot of people have been inspired by your story. And if anybody has a question or would like any mentorship opportunities, just get in touch with me and I will connect you to the right mentor. And then if you'd like to be a part of our show, you also know how to get a hold of me. Other than that, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Trudy. The honor was all mine. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Conversational Lounge. Here we have 3 goals: to mentor, connect, and inspire others through real life stories.